PT Core Speaking, responding to a situation questions are where people lose all the marks. This is where you have to speak for 40 seconds and people really get exposed here, especially with situations like these. So we'll look at a sample answer, something that will score a 90 out of 90 like most of our students. We'll also look at some great things that this answer is doing and that you can copy to score really well. So it talks about you being at a dinner party. One of your friends who is lactose intolerant just found out that the dessert they were about to eat contains dairy, despite informing the host about their dietary restriction earlier. Your friend seems frustrated and left out. How would you handle the situation to support your friend and ensure they feel included and cared for at the party? So you want to talk to your friend here and address them and talk about the situation. Give them some advice and talk about how you can informally help them, because this is an informal situation. You got to be careful about the tone. This is the answer you want to make, and then we'll break this down and how you can score better with answers like these. Bob, I completely understand how frustrating this must be for you. Here's what I'd do. I'd discreetly approach the host to inform them about your dietary concerns, ensuring they understand the oversight without causing a scene. Meanwhile, I'd be more than happy to help you find an alternative dish. Just so you know, I'm here for you. At the end of the day, if you really don't want to eat anything, then let's not pay any heed to it. Let's just chat and have a great time while we're here. This answer is loaded with so many quality things that give this guaranteed a full mark. And here are some of those things. The first one is direct start. You don't want to say, "Hi, how are you, dear Bob," or anything, because you don't have that much time. In PT Core, it's not like IELTS or CELPIP. You have limited time. So you want to start directly with Bob and then talk about the situation. Also, always be careful with the question. Here, you are at a dinner party with your friend. So most likely you'll have already seen that friend. It doesn't specify that, but again, I'm going to assume that because I don't want to say, "How are you?" That's going to take up too much time. Sometimes situations are you spilled a cup of coffee on someone. So there you have to be apologetic. Your first sentence should be, "Oh, I am extremely sorry about this." Here you really don't know the person, so you can't really even say, "How are you?" Here you know the person, assuming that. So we just start with the name and directly talk about the point. So that's very good and a good start. Now look at the emotions. You have a lot of marks in PT Core for your emotional intelligence, and most of these responding to a situation questions will test you on it because they give you situations where you are in an uncomfortable position. So here you are talking about how you understand how frustrating this must be for you. That's emotion and that touch one time. The second time is right here. Just so you know, I'm here for you. Now, how do you think of emotions? It's not hard. Don't think of it as a test. Think of it as a real situation. If you were talking to your friend, wouldn't you want to comfort them? You would obviously comfort them. You would say words like these, or you would say stuff like, "Hey, don't worry. I know you're frustrated. I can see you are mad, but let me tell you, let's do this." Here, you want to show that you are a human being giving the test, not a robot. So don't be robotic, and you actually have marks for emotions. The next thing that this answer does really well is the use of connectors. So how it goes from this point to the next one, I know how frustrating this must be for you. And then it says, here's what I'd do. So there's the solution. There's the tone of the solution. Then after explaining something, it talks about the next sentence or the next point and uses the word meanwhile, which fits here. In other cases, it could be furthermore, also additionally. Then you have let's just chat, and this is more towards the conclusion. It's almost like a concluding sentence, but because it's informal and it's not an essay, we're not going to say things like "to conclude" or "overall," but you're going to use a conclusion appropriate to the situation, and that is a good connector giving you marks for flow in PT Core Speaking. Then you have the expressions. When you see the exclamation marks in speaking, those are the emphasis. So here, the way this sentence will be said is, "Just so you know, I'm here for you." And in this sentence, "Let's just chat and have a great time while we're here." There's a more complete conclusion, more expressive finish, a change in volume and fluctuation. And that helps the AI to understand the context, and it helps you to get the mark for the appropriate tone, because here You need to have that tone of feelings and emotions for the informal conversation. If it's formal, we'll do the opposite. Just so you know, if it's formal, you have to be professional, obviously. There, things change slightly, but using the right expressions in these cases is important. And having that volume fluctuation, that emphasis, is highly, highly important. Now, if you look at the content of the speaking, the body here, the solutions are 3. Here's what I do. That's the first one. I discreetly approach the host. The next one is, meanwhile, I'll be more than happy to find you an alternative dish. And then the last one was, hey, if you don't want to eat anything, let's just not pay any heed to it. Let's just chat. So you have 3 points here, and it's always 2 to 3 quality points that give you the highest marks. If you have too many points trying to just talk as much as you can, number 1, you most likely will run out of time because 40 seconds are fast. Number 2, you're not going to cover each point in enough detail. They will be quantity points, not quality points. And this is all quality as long as you keep 2 to 3 main points. Conclusion is perfect, as I've mentioned before. Let's just chat and have a great time while we're here. Sometimes students overdo it. Sometimes you might say, I want to talk to you about this next week. Let's look forward to it. And this is because you have memorized certain sentences that don't fit in all scenarios, which is why you need to make it appropriate to the situation. You have to adapt to the question and think naturally. How would you finish off this conversation with a friend? And obviously, after this, it's not like you're going to say, okay, take care, see you tomorrow. You're just there waiting for their response, right? So this is appropriate. And after this, the friend might say something else appropriate to the situation. The final thing is the transition, which is very nice here, the way it starts from Bob, I completely understand, then here's what I do, then there were the options, then there was a little emotion in between, in the center. Finally, there was let's just chat, and that was the conclusion. So the transition, the flow, you'll have a lot of marks there. Actually, there's one more thing before we finish up, and that is complex sentences. So complex sentences are sentences which are broken into 2 parts. Everything that you see underlined here are complex sentences. So when I say something like while, let's have a great time while we're here, it adds more words or more content or clauses to the existing sentence. When it does that, it becomes a complex or a compound sentence. Same thing here with ensuring. Same thing with the word if. With if, it's like if you do, then there is da. So there is 2 points after if, and that's also a complex sentence. In this case, here's what I do, and then you continue talking about what you would do. That is also a complex sentence. The more complex sentences you have, the better. Here you have a lot, but you could have even 3 minimum, and that's gonna be more than effective in giving you good marks for your range of vocabulary and lexical resource. So guys, make sure to implement these wonderful tips and do wonderful answers for your PTE Core exam. If you're struggling, check out our PTE Core course in the description, and we'll talk soon. Please like, share, and subscribe. Take care.